Good afternoon or evening, everybody. Welcome back to another weather forecast by Asian Weather Forecast, and this is going to be a video kind of doing a sneak peek towards the very beginning of Thanksgiving week. We are watching out for some confidence within models as well, looking at an overall good setup for a chance of either an upcoming new pattern with a very strong cold front likely to dip into the eastern United States in a strong trough, and that is going to increase the chance of the likelihood of a snowstorm, whether it is a more than likely a nor'easter a few days before Thanksgiving or a snowstorm going across the Great Lakes kind of as a clipper pattern. But we're going to continue to watch out for this, and I'll be going over the overall confidence and overall what model trends have as of now. Looking at overall the timing, who can see a very cold pre Thanksgiving weekend as well. Where can we possibly see this snowstorm? But before we get in the video, I would recommend you guys to smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, and bell icon. But without further ado, let's get in the video. So let's go ahead and look at the overall 6 to 10 day weather outlook, so you guys can get an overall idea what overall the NOAA wants to have average wise for the early part of next week here. So it's gonna be looking at, let's see here, valid through November 21st towards November 25th. So this is actually the exact time frame we are watching out for, because I believe isn't Thanksgiving on the 25th. So we're gonna be looking at towards the 21st and up to the 22nd. So here's the overall. You can tell the overall cooler air is concentrated across the eastern United States and as well along the I-95 corridor, which is exactly the location we're going to be watching at, because we're going to be watching out mainly for a chance of a low pressure to develop somewhere over here, kind of like a normal clipper pattern. And then we're going to have to actually watch out for the chance of this low pressure to either dip down here and become a nor'easter, or dip over here and then become a nor'easter. So either way, we are watching out for the chance of a nor'easter. And of course, as of now, in the very the very mid-range outlook, it's looking not too shabby. Already getting, I believe that's a 50 to 60%, actually that's a 60 to 70% chance of having below average temperatures across specifically the southeast. However, of course, this will most likely extend further northward, but still a pretty large area in the area we want to have below average. So this is already a good look at the pattern. It's already supportive of the snowstorm, and then of course seeing the pretty strong ridging basically on Thanksgiving Day and as well pre-Thanksgiving week, or pre-Thanksgiving on the same week though. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and be seeing really strong high pressure and overall ridging naps that's actually going to inhibit and as well most again allow for this pattern to look pretty reliable even though it's pretty far out. So I know I'm typically don't talk about things this far out that are this uncertain, but the pattern's looking really good. It's all adding up and already getting it. Like I said, below average temperatures forecasted, and its cold front has been pretty consistent in the forecast. And of course, if we do have a good prefrontal low pressure anywhere in this region, the eastern United States, we're likely to have either a good snowstorm or a really intense nor'easter. So definitely watching out for both of those being in the picture. So now we're going to go ahead and get a look here at the Weather Prediction Center and look at the overall front of forecast and service map for the next 7 days. So obviously it's going to be within exactly a week from now. It's going to be 6 days tomorrow where this snowstorm could very well start. So we're going to be looking at possibly for a really good warm sector across the vicinity here. I'm going to be watching out for some rain along this cold front. So we're going to be watching out for a pretty saturated early week to your week. Next week across portion of the south central, we're going to be seeing again kind of a few stationary fronts, but with a very large more the actual main trough will actually be dipping like this. You're going to kind of be seeing a trough like this. You can kind of tell by the overall ISO bar line. You can kind of tell there is kind of a disturbed area of weather. There you see a cooler front, a warm front, and a cold front. We're watching out. This is going to be 12Z on Sunday, so we're actually watching out the chance for some snow to start behind this cold front. Again, that's a little bit more to get closer to actually wait for, but the main event, at least what we're looking at on models, will be around towards Monday, unfolding on Monday. And there you see that low pressure right there. This is going to be, like I said, there's going to be a low pressure that's going to be developing along this warm sector, actually kind of basically right here, and seeing a low pressure. It's going to dip to the south, and that will most likely become a nor'easter. We're not going to be looking at the traditional nor'easter where you see a stationary boundary kind of form along the Gulf of Mexico, and it kind of goes along like that. We're not looking at the overall typical March, February type nor'easter, but we're going to watch out for kind of a November type pattern, and then it goes up the coast and actually possibly bombs out. That's definitely a possibility. That's what the latest 12Z GFS is showing, but not showing any really snow really necessarily because it's still pretty far out. But the overall, like I said, the pattern is looking really good. A cold front already deep within this area with an upcoming cold front behind it. So we have two areas of cold fronts having really deep cold area with a lot of moisture advection. Basically from both the Great Lakes and the Gulf of Mexico. So definitely looking at a really good pattern. Like I said, all 70s out, the pattern is looking really good. So let's now go ahead and get a look here at now the 500 millibar height. This is going to kind of give us a better idea of what we're seeing here with the overall ridging pattern. So this is obviously this week. We want to get to next week. There we go. So there it is. This is going to be the actual trough itself. There's the trough right here. You can kind of tell sitting there across Alberta, British Columbia, and Saskatchewan. If that's how you pronounce it. That's my first time actually having it first try, but I'm not sure if I even did it right. But like I said, for this week, it's going to be very warm across the southeast and middle portion of the United States. It's actually get towards 70 degrees tomorrow, I believe Wednesday, across my area. So it's going to get pretty warm because of obviously we just saw that really good trough basically like yesterday and Saturday. And now we're starting seeing some really strong ridging this week. But this strong ridging is going to be just in time because that means it's going to be time for that next trough. So you see that really significant trough coming here from the deep south or from the deep portion of northern Canada, and it's going to start merging its way towards the southeast, and it's going to kind of allow the dip in the jet stream basically in the direction it's going. So this is going to inhibit any area of high pressure in the western United States to actually go to the east. So it's actually going to act as a blockade to kind of encave an area of high pressure. Gosh, I could not get that out. An area of high pressure. There we go. And this is actually going to inhibit the strength of that ridge this week, because obviously this trough's going to come in basically as, actually I think I'm looking at the wrong one. Yeah, I think I'm looking at the completely wrong trough. Yeah, I'm looking at the completely wrong trough. Oh my gosh, I was looking at the completely wrong one. There we go. Okay, this is next week. So the 20th. The 20th, here's the area of trough right there. Pretty weak across northern Canada and central Canada, but there's that same scenario as the wrong one. Same scenario though. Gonna be seeing some ridging by the end of this week. Here it's gonna be Saturday, and as we go to Sunday, still seeing that ridging, but it's going to start weakening as this low pressure or this area of low along that trough. An open wave trough is actually again same thing. Gonna dip the jet stream. Gonna act as a blockade system. And there you see this the ridging of Alaska, the Gulf of Alaska, is actually be right off the Pacific Northwest. So we're gonna kind of start to see a positive PNA pattern where you have a strong trough in the portion of the Middle Alaskan Bay. That's gonna allow for this high pressure in the Alaska Gulf to merge its way far eastward. And that's gonna allow for, of course, a trough to actually dip far to the east instead of far to the west. So it's going to allow for some really intense ridging, like I said, for this next 6 to 10 days. And there you see that really strong ridging. And there you see that really strong troughing down the deep southeast. As far as the deep southeast specifically, really some really good cooler and really cold air and deep cold air across the Great Lakes. There you see this really intense area of low pressure. And of course, a really intense trough. Looking at a really strong open wave. Trough can be seen as well as ridging pattern act as a blocking high. So going to be seeing areas of two low pressures and trough one in the very far southwest. It's going to be by the 22nd. So this is going to be the Monday that this snowstorm will actually begin. And it's a really intense trough, as you can tell. I mean, look at the colors. We're seeing some really low pressure across this area. And again, it's going to be more towards, at this point, going to be more towards negative tilted. As you can tell by the ISO lines, it's kind of merging its way further southeastward as we go. So you're going to be seeing basically a negative tilted trough. It's going to allow for some really strong ejection, and probably it's going to really allow for a really intense low pressure going along, obviously, the Great Lakes, and then eventually towards the New England coast and up northern I-95 is exactly what it's going to do. Really intense trough, and this is going to be by Tuesday. Going to watch out for it to continue by Tuesday. And then by Wednesday, it's going to continue to go to New England. But we can just tell it's a really intense trough. And GFS has been pretty consistent with this. The CMC also agrees, but it's a little bit less intense than the GFS, at least troughing-wise. Same thing looking at 500 millibar, but the actual wind direction. So again, you're going to be seeing that wind direction, you're going to be seeing some really strong kind of northerlies and southwesterlies, and then it's going to kind of go in a full circle because obviously it's an area of low pressure. You're going to be seeing areas of kind of clockwise flow, and of course that is going to kind of ruin that ridging we're going to be seeing later this week. It's going to completely ruin it. It's going to allow again for that really deep cold air to make its way as far south as Atlanta. Going to be seeing freezing temperatures. I believe it's going to be towards Tuesday morning, as far south as the deep southeast and Dixie Alley. So obviously we do have a prefrontal low pressure kind of tracking, dipping as far south as maybe the mid-Atlantic, Chesapeake Bay, and then go up to New England. That's going to allow for, again, that cold air is not going to be an issue, nor will timing, but again, it's still a week out, so the timing of the cold front could change, the timing of the low pressure could change, the whole pattern can change, but as of now, it looks pretty confident in what we're seeing. Been pretty consistent. So what is this whole thing I just showed you in the past 5 minutes, like the troughing, the 500 millibar jet, the dip in the jet stream, how intense this area of trough is. Well, I'm about to show you what it's going to mean. So this is by Sunday, or it's going to be by Saturday. So you're going to be seeing some small troughing across. It's, like I said, it's going to be very, very weak ridging, but the strongest ridging will be across the central United States by later this week. But we will start to see kind of very slightly below average temperatures across the Chesapeake Bay around I-95. We're really going to be seeing some maybe 10 degrees below average, but going to be seeing a really strong area of high. That's going to allow for some slightly warmer air across Monday, the actual day, but as we go towards Monday night, that's going to completely change by Monday night. We're going to be seeing cold air really quickly making its way towards, of course, the Midwest, and as well portion as far as even getting close to the southeast. So, we're going to be seeing a pretty drastic change between Sunday night to Monday morning to go from really, really warm. And then by Monday night, getting to Tuesday morning, going to be seeing a complete difference in temperature. So, like I said, it's going to be pretty fast-moving type of front here. So, could possibly be considered a clipper if it's obviously front-sided. And we do have the winds, but still too far to call it a clipper. But I most likely will be calling it a nor'easter as of now. But really cold there again behind that front. You can kind of tell the trough is going to be ejecting at this point. Can kind of be like that. There is that kind of dip in the jet stream. There is that really strong ridging developing. There's that weaker troughing experiencing in the California vicinity. But I'm going to be watching out for as cold as around 30 degrees below average across portions there of Canada. And of course, the day after, Tuesday, is going to be really, really cold. So it's going to really inhibit. This cold front is going to be as far east as basically Bermuda. So there's not going to be an issue with timing. So once it's low pressure, again, by Tuesday, it's going to kind of be towards, I believe, the New England / Mid-Atlantic. Within this area, I believe it's where it's going to be the low pressure. And since this cold front's going to be far to the east, we're not going to have to worry about it having to catch up or it being very lopsided. Most likely will be pretty normal looking. But really cold there all across the eastern United States Monday, or actually more like Monday night, all Tuesday, all Wednesday, and as well into Thanksgiving. We could see some cooler air, but looking at some pretty significant cold air though. So let's now look at the overall GFS here and what they have. So here's a look at the 12Z. I believe 18Z is coming out about now, but it'll be too late for me to record it. I was waiting for the 18Z, but here's now a look at the 21st. You're not really seeing anything, but as really the 21st, we get towards nighttime, developing towards early Sunday morning. Gonna start seeing that area of low pressure. So like I said, so they kind of develop towards the North Dakota area, kind of along that stationary boundary with the main low pressure up here. You're gonna be seeing a occluded front, you're gonna be seeing a warm front, and then a cold front, and then another small front developing, kind of a post-frontal low pressure developing with another cold front, a little stationary boundary somewhere over here. And it's all basically be all cold fronts. So it's gonna be a pretty good setup there. Low pressure developing, really already cold air. As it's low pressure, this really strong low pressure up here, really strong trough. That's going to be the main trough itself, kind of dipping like that. It's going to allow for that really area of really cold air. So at this point, like I said, by Monday night, that cold air will start to make its way towards portions of the deep southeast. But by Monday, midday, basically, there you see that smaller low pressure developing along that front. Going to be seeing some really cold air, specifically on the western side. Like I said, it's not going to be really front-sided, so all the snow is not really on the north of the low pressure, so it's not really considered a clipper in this scenario, but really good snow across, again, the Great Lakes, portions of Chicago. It's going to be Monday, and then by Tuesday, the low pressure now makes its way dipping in towards Pennsylvania. You can kind of tell there's going to be the overall troughing pattern. Going to be seeing some good rain to the east. So the GFS actually has it dipping further northward than the 60. Actually, I think the 60 is pretty reasonable in my opinion. The 60 actually, I believe, takes it all the way down here. And that's more of what I'm possibly expecting considering the front and how far south it's going to be going. But again, it's all going to be depending on like how it branches off on that main low pressure. But there you see that really good snow by Tuesday morning. I believe this is this is Tuesday morning. Or actually, it's more towards Monday night going into Tuesday morning. And we're seeing some really heavy snow across portions of the overall northeast off the Great Lakes there and towards Lake Erie, Lake Huron. Some good snow there for Pittsburgh, Charleston, West Virginia, portions there of Youngstown, Ohio, Cleveland, towards Syracuse up there. And then it goes pretty far off the coast. So the further off the coast, the more likely we're going to be seeing more widespread snow. So the further off the coast, more likely this cold front will be further east enough to have this precipitation to convert towards frozen precipitation. So the further off the coast, the more likely we will be seeing snow for New York City or any area along the actual northeast coast. So again, as you go further off the coast, we could very well maybe see some snow closer eastward. So maybe not directly on the coast, but it would go further eastward. So Allentown, I'm trying to think of Scranton, New Jersey, including, who knows, maybe possibly towards New York City. New York City is actually in that blue, even including their portions towards, again, really heavy snow towards Ithaca. But there is the low pressure possibly bombing out from 976 there to 969, 961. But yeah, we're not going to be talking about that big one up there. But this is kind of what the 12 is approaching. But let's now look at the, I want to show you guys the 60. Because I think the 60 is very, very reasonable in my opinion. Not with the overall snow accumulations, but the overall track is what I like. So again, it's very similar scenario, but a little further southward. You can kind of tilt a little further southward. There's that low pressure. Again, that same trough, that kind of main cold front, other post-frontal low pressure branching off, but it kind of takes it a little bit further south, so now getting some good snow. Again, very similar scenario Tuesday evening, some good snow across Ohio, portions off the Great Lakes, including that general vicinity. But it dips it further south. We're now a little bit closer towards northern Delaware, and then it actually rises the coast like a typical nor'easter. But look at, actually, is this even the, oh, I'm not even looking at the 60. Holy cow, I'm having a lot of mistakes today, to say the least. So we're gonna have to wait for the 60 to load. I was wondering, I was like, this is a little too familiar. I've had a lot of overall mistakes in this video, but I'm gonna go ahead and wait for the 60 to load. So I got the 60 to load. I actually had to refresh my page. So here's looking now at the 60. So we're gonna skip that and go towards the very beginning of next week. So there by Sunday, there you see that snow kind of actually branching off a little bit later here. It's actually not going to be directly on the Midwest, but like I said, it's gonna be a lot further south. You actually see a typical, this is gonna be a typical nor'easter pattern where the low pressure actually kind of comes off a stationary front and actually develops its own front and goes up the east coast, basically with a lot of advection and a lot of moisture coming off the Gulf of Mexico. And you see that typical cold front going to be really right here. So anything towards really I say you kind of, or actually the cold front will be a little bit more towards here. So anything really to the northwest of that cold front will be basically really good snow. So that's going to be towards the Virginias. But there you see the low pressure really far off the coast, like a typical nor'easter. And I actually think this is very reasonable. Getting that good snow across West Virginia, this actually be a lot better for more widespread snow across Philadelphia, New York City. I mean, this is a really, I think, reasonable type pattern. The thing is, though, I'm not sure whether I agree with this typical pattern more than the Clipper type pattern. Again, it's a very different approach from 60 to 12Z, but like I said, I don't think the actual snowfall intensity and accumulations is reasonable for 60, but I think the overall track is reasonable. Again, bombing out really far off the coast, and of course that cold front's gonna be far to the east. So anything, basically any precipitation on the coast will be pretty good snow towards, again, a portion there of all of New England. But it's very intense though for Boston, New York City. Again, really intense. But actually, I believe the 18Z is also loading. I think the 18Z is loading here. So yeah, this is actually the 18Z. So the 18Z should be fully done by the time we end this video. So maybe if there's enough time, I'll wait for the 18Z to finish off. But here's now a look at the CMC 12Z. Like I said, CMC is a lot less intense. Having that snow, basically low pressure, is going to be a lot I mean, a lot further north, we're going to be seeing kind of low pressure all the way up towards basically north of Traverse City and actually towards dividing Ontario. So it's going to kind of be very far north, and then it'll finally dip its way towards the northeast here. So it's going to be very minimal. Some possible snow across Pennsylvania, maybe New York City, including New England, but they don't have too much going on there across the CMC. And if we look at the actual snowfall accumulation, so consider that some of this is going to be from still remaining winters of that winter storm we just saw yesterday. But if we actually go to the main storm, and it's going to end by the 24th. So this is the overall snowfall accumulation expected. So looking at some really good snow across, specifically off the Gulf or off the Great Lakes there, looking at Lake Erie there and towards, actually, maybe I should zoom in to the northeast. Maybe that'll be better. So let's do that. But this is going to go to 18Z. Let's go to 12Z. There we go. So this is exactly what it's going to look like here if the 12Z, really that 12Z, really good snowfall. Basically, like I said, it's going to be a little bit more inland because it's a little bit further off the coast, but getting some slight accumulation once this low pressure fully goes really far out. So again, a lot of this accumulation is going to be pretty far inland because it's going to be the whole time riding the actual I-95 corridor, but once it actually stretches out and bombs out, that's going to allow for some snow to go towards the coast. So getting some light accumulation from New York City, even getting some accumulation there for Atlantic City, but really good snow for New England, not New England, sorry, New York, Pennsylvania, as well as the Appalachian Mountains, as well as some good snow for the Great Lakes, and then some really good snow in the very higher elevations towards New England, because at that point it's going to be bombing out, and it's going to be a little bit further to the coast, so it's going to allow for some snow more towards the mainland area. And then let's now go ahead and see what the CMC has to say. And of course, the CMC is going to be a lot less intense. It's actually going to basically just be far mainland northeast, and as well, really just the only coast snow we'll be seeing is the Great Lakes. So we are seeing some similarities between the CMC and the GFS and 12Z models, looking at some really good lake effect snow off Lake Erie, Jamestown, New York, Erie, Pennsylvania, that general area, and kind of just agreeing with the overall track of most of that snow is going to stay far off the coast, but CMC is still getting some slight accumulation. It's actually a little bit more towards New England, but that's what the models have so far, really. But we're gonna have to see, we're gonna have to wait and see for what the 18Z has in mind. But I don't have enough time to actually wait for it. But I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys later.